Well, hello and welcome into the Pickle Palace here for another edition of On Iowa Live. We are excited to have a familiar and a new face joining us this week. We got Scott Docterman from The Athletic, as always. Thank you, Scott, for being here, as well as the voice of the Iowa Hawkeyes, Gary Dolphin. Thank you for making the trip.
Hey, good to be here, Chelsie. Thanks for having me. Great,
yes.
Thank you.
Well, if anyone knows, this is a big week in our household. It is obviously a rivalry game week, Iowa, Minnesota. My husband is from Minnesota. He has already planted that dang flag in our yard and decided to take a photo of it. I've not been home since I've been into work, but I think that's just kind of the way these things work. So no surprise there, but unfortunately I have to go back home to that ugly maroon is what we'll call it.
Now, you're from Nebraska. Do you get to plant the Nebraska flag?
We don't plant any Nebraska flags at all. No. Everyone knows my feelings about Nebraska.
Glad to hear that.
We're Hawkeyes, and we're split, but Hawkeyes on my side.
Well, does he have it was an invalid fair catch?
He does, and he had the audacity to wear that last Saturday. And I said, you're going to wear that shirt out in public in this state?
Remind them that's the only game they've won with Iowa in the last 10 tries, 11 tries. So
exactly, right? Got to put them in their place. Well, let's go ahead and flash back a little bit to last Saturday. Iowa beats Penn State 25-24. They improved to 5-2 on the season, 3-1 in Big Ten. It handed the Nittany Lions their fourth straight loss. Hawkeyes trailed, though, 24-19 with just under 5 minutes to play. I think that is just key in this because why did you bring in Mark Gronowski? You wanted a winner. You wanted to win games. Just what are your overall thoughts? We'll start with you, Gary, on just that Iowa win against Penn State.
Well, to that point, you saw why they brought Mark Gronowski in. You know, he's a one-year-and-done guy. So, you know, my view is he knows where the end zone is. Now, whether he's running there or throwing there, and I know he hasn't thrown a touchdown pass of late, but the guy knows how to find the end zone. He's a winner. He's a tough guy. He's a blue-collar guy. He fits the Iowa prototypical player, not necessarily the quarterback, but, you know, we're what, halfway through the season. He's dragging that knee around. It's not 100%. It's pretty close now. Hopefully he came through Saturday okay. So let's let him keep doing what he's doing. He's winning. He doesn't have his best tight end. In Addison Estringa. That was a huge loss earlier in the year. We all know how Iowa's tight ends play into the game plan. And he just got Reese Vandersee back, who arguably is Iowa's best receiver at 6'5", 215 pounds. So I do expect the passing game to improve. But if you can run the ball, and Scott, I know will agree with this, you have maybe the best offensive line in the Big Ten coming back this year. Two of them, Jones and Dunker, are the highest rated at their position by Pro Football Focus coming back this year, seniors, and they have just been monstrous in the run game. And so I say stick with what keeps you, or stick what works. Stick with what works, and they've done that. And 5-2, 3-1, that's still playoff eligible in my view. We'll see where it goes from here.
You bet, Scott.
I think one thing that sticks out to me with this is Iowa, counting last year, was 1-5 in one-score games. And to pull one out like this is something that really kind of ushers Iowa into special seasons or very good seasons. And losing the Indiana game, they were so close. Really good opponent, as we know. They're ranked second in the country. Iowa State was really good at the time. I think this situation, to come back, they were down 11 in the second half. That is a really tough team because of the skill level that Penn State had, and they had a very emotional week. But I think to be able to push through, and then for Mark Gronowski to engineer victory, which is what you want your quarterback to do. And I know some people, the negative Nellies, are looking at the passing numbers, and yes, they're not really what you want to look at, but what you look at is 130 rushing yards, and the fact that he has 10 rushing touchdowns, which ties for second in Iowa history by a quarterback, one behind Wilburn Hollis, who led the team to really a national title in 1960. He had 11 then. He lived in Marion until he passed away a year or two ago. This is really a big step for Iowa to win a close game at home when you're trailing, and for a quarterback to engineer victory. I think it says that this team is capable of continuing to win, pile up victories, and put itself in a position where these November games matter.
Absolutely.
One other quick note, Chelsie. Penn State scored off Iowa's first turnover. It was a 35-yard drive. They scored, that's to start the game. They ended the first half blocking a field goal attempt for a touchdown. That's 2 of their touchdowns. The point is the Iowa defense is always going to keep you there. We're used to seeing the Hawks win the turnover battle, and they came back and got some breaks of their own or made their own breaks. But Penn State's up 2 scores. They score a touchdown. They go up, I think it was 11. Yeah. And what does Gronowski do? He leads Iowa right down the field for a matching touchdown. Yeah. Now it's a 1-score game. Now you got a game. Now the crowd's back. Not that the crowd ever left, but the crowd was back into it. Phenomenal again at Kinnick. You know, I'm not, as the older I get, I'm not a big fan of night games for when they end. But a night game at Kinnick is so special, and I'm sure all these folks have been there at least once. And we're done with night games, but it'll be exciting the rest of the year, given where Iowa's at halfway through the season.
Right. Well, Gronowski kind of the star. It's not often, though, that Iowa quarterbacks lead, you know, in rushing 130 yards, which is a season high for him, 2 touchdowns. It's his 5th 100-yard rushing game. But we are talking, too, about why they brought him in. He could win. He knows how to win. He's that mobile QB. I have to ask, though, could things potentially maybe have been different if he was in 4th quarter of Indiana? Thoughts on that? Yeah?
I believe so.
Yeah.
Because really they were 1 play from winning that game, and that was a completed screen pass. But then you also look at what it could have done with his legs, and that's something that Iowa hasn't had. C.J. Beathard could kind of provide it. He had 34 first downs in that 2015 season, but I think that with Mark Gronowski, his legs, it's 3rd and 4. He'll take off. He'll get the first down. He'll move the chains, and he could have done that very easily in that game to get that kind of Kinnick victory, put themselves in a position to where maybe they're kicking from the center part of the hash marks instead of the left hash mark. So, yes, I think they could have been sitting here that easy. But then again, you start to play that game, and, well, maybe they would have lost the other day instead. So, yeah. But I do think that they are an ascending football team. Defense is much better now than it was in week 1. The running game is among the best in the Big Ten, especially style of play. They have the best offensive line, I think, in the Big Ten, which means they have maybe the best one in the country for run blocking. And then finally, it's just now the passing game has to take those strides. And as Gary said, not having a tight end, that really hurts Gronowski because his style of play really could use a tight end.
And you've seen Mark look, or Tim Lester, look for Hayden Large a lot. They're playing him more on the edge than typically in the backfield. I mean, they'll move him around. He's technically a tight end. I thought he made that catch at Wisconsin 2 weeks ago inside the 5, and they didn't review it or look at it. But Hayden can make big plays. He made a ton of them up at Dordt. But when you hear people, and the overused term, he's a winner. Here's why Mark Gronowski is a winner. A lot of quarterbacks, when they drop back and they're looking for their primary or secondary target, it's not there. They'll not panic, but they'll take off, and typically they'll string it out to the sideline. Gronowski keeps his eyes down the middle of the field. He finds a hole. He's gone. He's going to take on contact. He loves contact. And if you need 4 yards or 5 yards on 3rd, and it doesn't look real good because that linebacker's coming at you head on, he'll take him on and get the first down. I thought he had that first down the other night when he slid across the 40 and they brought it back to the other side. You know, I'm 8 stories and 500 feet back, and I can see that he had the first down. But you know, I'm not here to criticize officials tonight.
No, I think we all saw it too, if any of us were watching from home as well. Let's flip sides of the ball. Iowa's defense has recorded an interception in each of the last 4 games. Obviously want to give kudos to safety Xavier Wampa. He was named the Big Ten Defensive Player of the Week. 10 tackles, forced his first career fumble in the 4th quarter, and then returned his first interception of the season down to the 1-yard line. He got close. And then Deshaun Lee, he also had an interception, his first of the season. Cohen Intringer, though, led the way with 11 tackles. I know we were saying how young some of this core, not necessarily an X or a Deshaun Lee, but this defense was just young. It seems that they continuously kind of step up to the occasion. Would you guys agree?
I think with Xavier, that was his best game.
Yeah.
Best game since he's been here. I was at his commitment in Southeast Polk, 4 or 5 years ago. He has the athletic ability to impact games every single time he's out there. And he's had a few games where you're like, you just need a little bit more. But I think we saw the real Xavier Wampa the other day. Very physical tackler and hitter, forces fumbles. Also that interception, it's kind of like 2 weeks in a row. They're just getting right to the 1 yard line on defense to get that 18th year in a row with an interception for a touchdown. And they're, Aaron Graves last week, Xavier Wampa this week. But I think they are moving forward. You can see it that they're getting more confident on defense, and especially in the secondary.
Yeah, I think to Scott's, just to add on what Scott said, coming into the season, everybody knew the strength of that defense was the front 4 or 5. Didn't know that transfer portal guys, how good or effective they would be, but Jonah Pace and Hawthorne have worked out just fine. But you know what you had in Graves and those 2 outstanding defensive ends, and Herkett and Mad Max Llewellyn. The linebackers were a question mark, not so much can they play, but they're older, but they're inexperienced. Other than Carson Shire, had not started a game. Now Jackson Rexroth has started or played a lot as the cash or a safety. Now he's dropped down. And then Montgomery and Harrell had not started, and they've gotten better and better every week. To me, the key to the defense has been those 3 safeties. Lutmer, Wampa, and Ontringer had a career-high 11 tackles. He's all over the field. Those 3 guys are just playing spectacular. They're all on the same page. And you mentioned Deshaun Lee. He did not have a tackle the other night. He had that acrobatic interception, and granted it was like a punt, but you know what a great play. And he made the last play of the game, at least from Penn State's offensive perspective. He knocked the pass away or would glue coverage on that wide receiver. Deshaun Lee and TJ Hall have maybe been the key to Iowa's improving defense because they have really come on with every game.
But I'm glad we have Gary for this, because you coined the wizard from Williamsburg, Caden Weegan, right? You called him that on the radio?
I called him that. I don't know if that's my patent or anything. But
well, he was named to the Jet Award midseason watch list. It obviously, he won it last year. It honors the most outstanding return specialist in college football. But he scored the go-ahead touchdown. Okay, that just kind of shows just how dynamic he is. He also led the Iowa's receiving group this week, but what a night for him. What a way to kind of just use all the offensive weapons. I'm glad that they are kind of utilizing him a little bit more on offense this season.
Here we've been on, 15 minutes or 14 minutes? We haven't mentioned Caden Weegan yet. And he probably should be the first guy mentioned whenever you talk about Iowa football. He affects the game in so many ways. Obviously, punt and kick return. But when he takes off, when he hits fast forward, I don't care if he's running sideways or north and south, something good's going to happen. And I'd mentioned the other night on the air that Gronowski, I thought the key there was the timing of that handoff. Yeah. I mean, Weegan was just a blur running by him, and Mark turned and put it right in his belly button. And he had time then to get around that defensive end. And he's got such a great cutback ability, change of direction. That's the key to Weegan. He's just phenomenal.
It's why he's going to be a really good NFL punt returner. It's because that lateral quickness and movement, he's able to make everybody miss. I mean, every week when he gets the ball and a little bit of space as a punt returner, he makes something happen. He had a 25-yarder the other day. I mean, he's really elevated himself into that conversation. I mean, he's a clear first-team All-American punt returner. Was last year. I'll push for him again this year, like I usually do here with them. But you look at the long line of really good returners. You got Cooper DeJean, you got Charlie Jones, you got Amir Smith-Marset, and that's just in the last 7 to 8 years. And I think he's maybe at the top of the list now, and that's something that I probably wouldn't have said going into the season because the other ones are just so good.
Yeah.
I've compared him to Tim Dwight. I'm not saying he's Tim Dwight, but Caden Weegan's the kind of guy. Ed Podolak used to say that guy, and he's usually on the other team, that guy would give a woodpecker a headache. and that's when you visualize that. Weegan he turns people in. He turns defenders inside out, and he's so much fun to watch, obviously. Now, Ferentz would tell you, he concerns me a little bit sometimes with what he tries to do and what he should be doing. You know what? You love a guy like that. We've seen him in the NFL for many years. What you worry about is, will that body hold up, this year and going forward? So far, so good.
Let's hope it stays that way. Well, we'll talk more Hawks when we come back. Out the microphone here at the Pickle Palace as we get ready for On Iowa Live. Keep going. We are talking Iowa football. We're going to have some audience questions when we come back from break here at the Pickle Palace. I can hear it above me, yes. Oh, he's shaking his head. Yes, that's a lot better. Yeah? He was saying it was a lot better. Yeah. Is it 2, Rooney? 2, right? Is it 2? Okay, thank you. Okay. We're starting with audience questions and with audience. All right, welcome back into the Pickle Palace for On Iowa Live. We are going to start with some audience questions. This one is for you, Gary.
Okay.
We would like to know which game you feel is one of your favorites.
Football game?
Football game.
Well, I've been asked that a lot. Everybody thinks it's Drew Tate to Warren Holloway, the forgotten man. I screwed that play up big time because I was so upset that we weren't calling timeout that night. Podolak was going berserk because the clock was running out, and we knew the play was going to end on the last play would be the end of the game. So, and that was a great atmosphere, Capital One Bowl, but it didn't have the meaning or the consensus of the Saturday night game at Michigan State in Ricky Stanzi's senior year.
Okay.
Iowa was, I think, 8-0. Ranked number 3 or 4 in the country. Went to a very good Michigan State team, and it was a brutally physical game. They punt to the Hawks with less than 2 minutes to go. Iowa's got no timeouts, and we need to score a touchdown. And Colin Sandeman was returning the punt, and he gets laid out on a cheap shot, and he's writhing. He's obviously out. He's concussed. Mm-hmm. And this defensive back straddled him and stood over him, and flag flies. So we get another 15 yards. We've got to go half the field. And Stanzi put together a drive unlike any you might ever see. Takes the team right down the field. And Marvin McNutt, who I know is a regular on this show, or was, fourth and goal at the 7. Stanzi told me Marvin gets in the huddle and says, "Throw me the ball." And Ricky says, "Marvin, you're going to be double covered. Safety, throw me the damn ball." He said, "Okay." So he 3-step drop, lets it go. Marvin had the biggest hands of any receiver I've ever seen. Catches it, and he just mauls the safety at the goal line, falls into the end zone, and the Hawks win by 1 or 2. That's my favorite call because I focused on what was going on instead of worrying about what wasn't going on. So that would be it.
That's fair. All right, our next audience question. Mark Gronowski has a bit of swagger. Does that carry over to the rest of the team?
Oh, for sure. If your leader has got that kind of swag, you know, it feeds everybody, especially when you're successful. And I think as much as that goes, his toughness is apparent. I mean, he's playing on a knee that probably shouldn't have been playing on the last couple of weeks, and yet when he's out there producing, making plays, making pivotal plays at key moments, all that's infectious because everybody's gravitating towards him. And I can't impress enough what an upgrade Iowa has in the leadership component at quarterback versus what they've had the last 2 years, because it's night and day times infinity. And I think Mark Gronowski is so much better than the last person who wasn't worth his number.
Well, you've heard the slogan, Chelsie, a thinking man's quarterback. Here's a guy who's got his mechanical engineering degree. He's working on his master's. I asked him in fall camp, I said, okay, we're getting closer to your first big start at this level. What are you concerned most about on opening day? He said, as soon as I break that huddle, I'm most concerned about pre-snap reads. I'm going, huh? He's he said Big Ten teams at this level, they give you so much pre-snap motion. Guys are jumping around. He said, I need to read every one of those and figure out which one is legit. Wow. And that's before the snap of the football. So he isn't worried at all about once the snap happens and he's dropping back. He's worried about what's going on pre-snap. I think we got the right guy here. He's tough, and he's very, very smart, and he loves being here.
Good.
I mean, his name is Gronowski. It's not Grabowski, but it's pretty close. He is tough.
Well, something that's been working for Iowa this entire season so far, running the ball. Rush for 200-plus yards now, 11 times under Tim Lester. That stood out to me. Also, that Iowa's offense has registered 25-plus points in 4 out of their last 5 games. Points, rushing, 245 total rushing yards against Penn State. Gronowski 2 for 2 passing in the fourth quarter. That's it. That's all he needed, right? I just think that, Caleb Johnson's departure is obviously a big hole, but it just seems like it's been picked up, kind of carry on, but in a different way, and it works.
Yeah, go ahead, Scott. Go take it.
A couple of things. I think Kamari Moulton is elevating himself into being one of the top 5 or 6 running backs in the Big Ten, which is a great league for running backs. His vision is his ability to cut, plus his toughness is apparent. He's had kind of wear the shoulder brace ever since week 1, and he's a complete back, and I think we're starting to see that. And then you again, the offensive line, and one player I want to point out in particular is Bo Stevens. He might be the meanest blankety blank that we've seen out of that position in a long time. I mean, when he pancakes you, he doesn't do what the Nebraska guy did, which was go head first into somebody and get a targeting call, but he pancakes people with authority, and is as mean as it gets, which is exactly what you want in a guard.
Last year everything was Caleb Johnson. This year it's running back by committee. Kamari's been fantastic when he's healthy. These 2 freshmen, Williams and McNeil, Coach Ferentz has loved them since spring ball. They both got here. One got here this summer, I believe. The other was a redshirt freshman. And we haven't even seen Brevin Dahl yet. And he's sky high on the young man from West Des Moines, Adele. So they're so deep at running back, and I think the new running backs coach has had a lot to do with that because he emphasizes blocking. So you have, to Scott's point, the best offensive line in the Big Ten, and you've got outstanding blocking backs, and we've seen them pick up blitzes all season long in the backfield to protect Gronowski because he's not the fastest thing on 2 wheels by his own admittance, but that's what you're seeing. That's why that inside zone has been so effective. Because of the guards. He talked about Bo Stevens. The next Superman coming is that right guard, Cade Pieper. I mean, he is nasty, and he's a freshman. Yeah. So we're in good shape there. Trevor Lauk out there at the left tackle he's an assassin. I mean, he can't find enough guys to hit when that ball's snapped. And obviously Jennings Dunker is a big red. So we're in good shape if that offensive line stays healthy and running back by committee. Again, it doesn't matter how you get it done. I think, 5 out of the 7 games they've rushed for over 200 yards, maybe 6.
Yeah. I do want to mention one more good before we kind of get to the not so good. Drew Stevens, he became Iowa's all-time field goals leader. His 2 makes, 39 yards, 31 yards. He now has 68 career field goals, passing Nate Kading for the program record. What does that mean? Because I think when everyone kind of thinks about kicking at Iowa, one of the first people that pops in their mind is Nate Kading.
When you have a program like Iowa plays in the margins so much, and it's actually very comfortable playing there where other teams aren't, you do need a field goal kicker. You need a punter who can affect the game. And I think Drew Stevens, for the most part, has been very effective. He's been able to make the makeables most of the time. And I think he's also got a very strong leg. We saw the game against Nebraska, for instance. And I think having that kind of career record says something because Iowa's had a lot of really good kickers, and it shows his longevity. He got benched a couple years ago at Nebraska, and yet he came back stronger and had a really good season last year. And maybe he won't try a 66-yarder again, but I think overall he's had a really strong career at Iowa.
Yeah.
Kirk Ferentz said when he first got to Iowa back in the late 90s, he understood how good this league is, and that Iowa may not be able on an annual basis to get the talent that Michigan or Ohio State or Penn State can get. He said, we want to be there in the fourth quarter. We want to be in a position to win the game in the fourth quarter. And I think it was kind of a tip-off as to how good Norm Parker's defenses were, and then obviously Phil Parker's. And to do that, you need a great kicker. And yeah, Drew's missed some field goals this year, but he is as clutch as they get in the history of Iowa for at least 28 years I've been doing the games. Nebraska is a prime example. I think he's beaten Nebraska twice, if not 3 times, but he's beaten other teams too. So like Danny Murray, like Rob Houtland, like Michael Meyer, I know I'm missing somebody. We've had clutch kickers, not only really good kickers, but clutch kickers. When that clock's ticking down to 3, 2, 1, they have no fear. And so that's why I love Drew Stevens.
We'd be remiss if we didn't mention Keith Duncan blowing kisses
at
Lincoln.
Consensus All-American. Yeah. We've had a few.
And he blew a kiss to Scott Frost. I think that'll endear him forever here and make him a villain over there. But.
You bet. Well, we're going to talk about that 66-yarder that Scott was referring to after the break. Hello. Can we start with the field goal? And then we'll just go down the line. Walt. Perfect. All right. Well, here is the attempt at 66-yard field goal that Kirk Ferentz wanted Drew Stevens to attempt right before the half. It did not go well. Penn State, though, the timeout, I have to wonder. They called the timeout. Do you think maybe change the decision? Because I'm thinking, too. The first one, 10 yards short, Obviously, Drew knows that. He's adjusting, in his mind. Thoughts?
Yeah, I think, I mean, obviously in retrospect, I'm sure,
right.
Knowing even how emotional he got in our news conference afterwards about how the players bailed him out for that mistake and how he owned it. And I'm sure he probably lost sleep over that, just knowing who he is. He's probably like, I can't believe I did that, in retrospect. But, I'm sure, and it's funny because you can't, shove his face in the water over it because he's owning it. But it wasn't his best call, especially after the first attempt that was so short. It was like, just punt or kneel or run around and throw it out of bounds or something instead.
When Penn State called the timeout, I said to Anger, I said, that's it. We'll punt the ball because the field goal he did kick. Now maybe he heard the whistle and let up on it, but it was well short. He did have the prevailing win. And, I'm thinking there's no way Ferentz is going to let him kick it, try a 66-yard field goal. You got the lead, get to the locker room, and my critical point there was Penn State has the ball to start the second half. And what happened? They went right down and scored. And we asked Kirk on the postgame show, I said, you didn't call that. Drew talked you into it. Nope, that's on me. I mean, I'll never accuse him of being a liar.
Yeah.
But that's who Kirk Ferentz is. If he really did call, he wants it all on him. He's not going to put any blame on his players. Drew's 14 of 19 this year. His career long is 55 yards. So, but Drew Stevens. Drew Stevens has a lot of Kirk Ferentz in him. He's a poker player. You never really know what he's thinking. So maybe they both were in cahoots, but it worked out well in the end.
All right, let's get some more audience questions. In this year's running game success with Gronowski, simply a substitute for last year's running game with Caleb Johnson. So is Gronowski the substitute? What are your thoughts?
Yes and no. I mean, I think Moulton has elevated himself into being, he's not Caleb Johnson, but I think he's really, really good. But I think what he does is, instead of being a substitute, I think he's why Iowa is pretty good on third down. I mean, right now they're 7th in the Big Ten on third down offense, which is way higher than they've been in a long, long time. And it's because when you have that option that it's the read's not there, that's not there, he's not forcing it. You don't have Deacon Hill back there. You have somebody who can run the football, and to be able to do that and get first downs, move the chains, that's a different dimension than Iowa's had really ever, because nobody's, even though Brad Banks could run, C.J. Beathard could run, Drew Tate could run once in a while, but this is an actual running threat, and he's a big running back at that.
And Gary, we'll have you take this one. Wouldn't a run-pass option be better on 2-point conversions, because they tried straight drop back and have had no success?
Well, and I just think they're trying to protect his leg there a little bit.
Okay.
I mean, Mark came in here as an RPO guy, and he's certainly not opposed. If you ask him to get out on the edge, and again, two things. He's not 100%, but I think it's more the fact that he does not have Addison Ostrenga out there with him. The tight end is so valuable, such an important component of Iowa's red zone offense, and the 2-point conversion is red zone offense. Zach Ortworth is got all the potential in the world. DJ Vanami is getting better. Hayden Large is a multiple position player. So I think it's more a byproduct of not having perhaps your best pass catcher in Ostrenga, the most veteran certainly, and the fact that Mark's, he said it after the game, he said, I'd like to take this leg brace off and throw it into row 30, but he can't. The trainers aren't going to let him. And I will say this, I thought Tim Lester called one of his best games Saturday. Call it a mixture of pass to run, but he gives Gronowski the option, or at least the freedom, of bailing out on the call and making his own decision, and that's why they brought him in. And but I think Tim's doing a great job given what he's dealt with now. With everybody has injuries. I'm not making an excuse here, but I think to be 5-2 with an injured quarterback and without your safety valve or maybe your pacifier in Ostrenga is remarkable, and I'll take it.
Well, let's look ahead. Obviously, Iowa and Minnesota. It is a blackout on Saturday, that 2:30 slot in Iowa City. Hawkeyes have won 10 of the last 11 meetings, but last time in Iowa City, it was a different story. Shirts were made. There were divisions among the fan bases. And we know why. I think, you can join whatever side you'd like to. But what do you guys remember about this one in particular in Iowa City?
The one 2 years ago, I think,
Yes.
I was the pool reporter, so I had to interview the officiating crew.
Oh.
That was pretty wild. I had to go through some channels with the Big Ten to do that. But I think part of it was that there were somewhere between 15 and 20 police officers outside the officials' door. They had to escort the chain gang to their cars. They brought the officials' cars to Kinnick Stadium to let them leave because they were worried about, it's an intense atmosphere. So and then just down the hall in the pink locker room, you've got PJ Fleck and the players lighting up cigars, celebrating their win. And I'm like, Iowa should have had them arrested, right? I mean, it's a public property. But that was one of the most incredible plays I've ever seen live in any sport. And to have it wiped out for a technicality on replay still doesn't sit well with me 2 years later.
What irritated me the most was that they didn't review it initially to see if it was a fair catch or not. They were looking at a different play.
Yeah.
And whether it was PJ or I'm not sure who got in somebody's ear, two things. What I'll always remember is Cooper DeJean almost sobbing on the sideline. That was just heartbreaking. And then, when you look at the replay, I just get more irritated. But the other thing, 3 weeks ago, I spoke at the Iowa Bankers Association convention in Des Moines, and one of their guest speakers was an NFL official who worked the Big Ten for many, many years. Terrific guy. I won't mention his name, but he's a motivational speaker, and he said he's from Indianapolis. He'd come into Kinnick Stadium a couple times a year, and he said, I always told our crew, and he was an umpire at the time, he said, I always told our crew, if Kirk Ferentz is PO'd or really upset about something, he's right, because he never blows up unless if he does, he's right. He's got it right. This guy is NFL, college football. So just nod your head, just, Coach, I'm sorry, and then run away from him. And they did a lot of running away from him that night, but it is what it is. I never want to see too much replay in college football.
And to your point, it was replayed because they were wondering if he stepped out of bounds. And then at that time, the control center, they farmed it out to Pittsburgh, and on replay to see if he was out of bounds, and that's where they did it. So Tim O'Day, who was the official that day, got caught with it. It wasn't his decision necessarily. It was what was seen on replay, but he had to wear it. And, just a fair catch is your hand above your shoulders. It's not twisting it at your side.
At your ankles.
And even then, 9 different Gophers tried to get him, and he still was able to evade it all. And it was one of the most electrifying plays I've ever seen. And to have it wiped out, again, on a technicality is something that it doesn't sit well with me then, and it doesn't even today.
Well, if common sense, do you think Cooper DeJean is ever going to signal for a fair catch? He's like Caden Weegan.
Yeah.
It's not in their vernacular.
I'm on your side. I think he's all right, though. He's a Super Bowl champ. Things have worked out for him.
Oh, he's doing fine. He can afford groceries and a gas in his car.
He probably still thinks about it, though.
Oh, I'm sure he does.
Absolutely. Can everyone please give Gary Dolphin a round of applause for joining us this week?
Thank you.
Thank you, Gary, for being here.
Yeah, thanks, Chelsie, for having me. Glad to do it.
We're going to take a break.
Welcome back. We're joined by Andy from Ability Physical Therapy and Elite Fitness. So of course, Ability Physical Therapy offers physical therapy, but what other services do you have? Welcome back. We're joined by Andy from Ability Physical Therapy and Elite Fitness. So of course, Ability Physical Therapy offers Welcome back. We're joined by Andy from Ability Physical Therapy and Elite Fitness. So of course, Ability Physical Therapy offers physical therapy, but what other services do you have?
That's a good question. So at all of our clinics, we offer services like dry needling and massage therapy. We also have work hardening workouts for people trying to get back to their jobs, and body composition testing or resting metabolic rate testing for people.
What are the benefits of these services, and are they covered under insurance?
Well, work hardening is something that is usually covered by the patient's employer through workman's compensation. And we do like 1 to 2 hour sessions for those people, getting them back to the work stamina they require for their jobs. And then for the massage therapy and dry needling, those are cash pay. We incorporate those into their physical therapy sessions sometimes as well. But yeah, those are helpful for people to reduce pain, improve joint and muscle mobility. The last thing is the metabolic rate testing and the body composition testing. Those are sometimes included in the rates for like a group package for personal training, but also can be purchased separately just to help establish individualized goal setting for these clients.
And where can people go to schedule?
Thank you. They can go to our website, chooseabilitypt.com.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Welcome.
All right, welcome back in. We are going to do our pick'ems just quickly with Scott, which, by the way, you are in the lead. I did do the numbers. Yes, yeah. Jack, me, Colin, those are the standings right now for everyone. Let's start with this game, the Iowa-Minnesota game. Who do you have?
I have the Hawkeyes winning this game. I was really impressed, though, with the Gophers against Nebraska. I thought they played really well, and they present some challenges. I just know that I don't think what happened 2 years ago is going to happen again, and I think it might be one of these games where Iowa takes control early and then just takes the air out of the ball, and it's a 2-touchdown type of win.
There's too many people on that team, you know, that remember exactly what happened, and that's not going to happen. Yeah. I also picked Iowa across the board for our crew. BYU at Iowa State, a little bit of mixed. You went Iowa State. Why?
I think this is a tough game, obviously, for both teams. I mean, BYU coming to Jack Trice. Jack Trice has been a tough place for a lot of Big 12 teams to play in, and I think that they're due for another big win. They lost a couple in a row, and BYU has to come to that environment with Rocco Beck. They've had a week off. I expect a raucous atmosphere, and I do think that it's a shootout. I think it's like 38-31 Cyclones.
I do think it's high scoring. We're split. You and Jack went Iowa State. Colin and I went BYU just because I saw the BYU-Utah game, and I had Utah winning that one. So I don't know. But, yes, Ames is a hard place to play in, so we will see. You and I, Southern Illinois. Colin is the only one that picked you and I.
Okay.
Why, is Southern Illinois? Any reason in particular?
I just want to wait until they win a Valley game, and then I'll kind of start really jumping on the bandwagon. They've played a really tough schedule at the FCS level. They got a new regime. It's just kind of tough.
They have a little bit harder schedule too, so and harder competition so far, Southern Illinois. Then our other ones, Illinois, Washington. Colin picked Illinois. We all went Washington.
I think this is a really good matchup, and the winner still has a fighting chance for the playoff. Yeah. I really like Washington with DeMond Williams. Even though they lost this weekend, I still think he's a really good quarterback. Jonah Coleman's a really good running back. I saw what happened with Illinois on the road in Indiana. They got to go across the country. It's never easy either way.
Right.
That's why I think Washington probably wins this at home. If they were playing in Champaign, I'd probably go with Illinois.
Yeah, I agree. In Missouri and Vanderbilt, we all went Vanderbilt. Do you think Nick Saban's going to finally buy into Vanderbilt?
That's been fun to watch, but he just can't quite get himself to do that. I suppose it'd be like, it's the equivalent of is if Hayden Fry was on College Game Day talking about Northwestern. Okay. And he's like, I hope we didn't hurt any of your boys when he said that to Northwestern, and it turned into a rivalry. I mean, I think if they do win, I mean, Diego Pavia is a tremendous player and a really fun player to watch. But I think that's a coin flip game, but you got to, you know, Vanderbilt's kind of like Northwestern in '95. I guess I got to roll with the Commodores.
You bet. All right. Thank you once again, Scott, for joining us this week. When we come back, we will have more with the Cedar Rapids Kennedy volleyball team. Stay with us. Yep. We're just going to stick that kind of back here. Is it pulling on you? Because we can, yeah, I was like, we can always kind of stick it back here.
Sounds good. It's bright.
All right, welcome back into On Iowa Live. I'm here now with Doug Palmer, which is the Cedar Rapids Kennedy girls volleyball head coach. Thank you for coming on to the show. We appreciate it. The Cougars are 24-17 overall in the season. This is, though, coming from a season where you guys won just 15 games a year ago.
Yes.
What has been maybe the biggest difference or difference maker?
I would just say that it's just the youth from last year. We had a lot of really young kids starting last year that maybe their first year as a freshman, they played on freshmen, and then they were vaulted right into varsity. And just we had a lot of youth and handling nerves and anxiety and stuff like that about being on that court. And and then just learning a different culture, like working hard, a lot harder than they were used to maybe, and they were dedicated over the off season for improvement. So.
Yeah, you guys face some tough competition, obviously, but any games or matches that stand out to you that you guys were able to pull off this season?
Yeah, we played number 1 Clear Creek Amana. That probably would be our toughest match, toughest opponent, one of the toughest opponents, I shouldn't say toughest, but they were number 1 in 4A, and we played them at the Prairie Tournament, and we were just clicking. We were on a roll, and there was a lot of energy on our bench, so we preached bench culture and court culture, so it meshed together, and it was just really exciting, and the better they did, the more excited they got, and you know, we got a little bit of luck too on the other side with a couple errors, and then that fueled us, and so we won the first set by 2 and then came out on fire again. We got behind a little bit, and then we ended up just digging deeper and keep working hard. The defense is really like that. CCA has some really big hitters, and we just kept digging them and digging them and digging them, and then we would convert, and so that was probably our biggest match, biggest win of the season, I'd say.
Yeah, what did you see it do to your group confidence-wise?
That was huge because last year we lost 13 games by 2 points. Some of them we had game point and we couldn't finish, and that I think that proved to them that they could finish matches even if they're behind. You know, because volleyball is a game of ups and downs, and you're going to get behind, and you got to keep going. You can't just give up, and they just kept fighting and fighting, and I do think it gave them that confidence to, even though when they're down or they're playing a big opponent, that's kind of been our Achilles heel in a few matches we've had where we beat an opponent and then we would play them again and didn't think they were as good. And to be able to face number 1, I mean, I think they had 1 loss on the season, and that gave them a huge confidence boost. So
you're about to enter the postseason. What's the focus right now?
Everything's focused on Waterloo West. So that's our match on Thursday night. We go up there again. We were just there on Tuesday, and we ended up pulling it out in 3 against them. They have a couple of really good hitters. I mean, studs, strong. But we've watched video on them. They know who they're supposed to defend. They know who their weaknesses are. They know the matchups we can take advantage of. And so it's always hard beating a good team twice. So, but I think I shouldn't even say I think. I'm confident that they're focused now. They're driven. I feel like we were on a plateau for a while, and I think they're off of it, and it's going to be a fun match.
You bet. Well, we are going to have the entire team join us when we come back.
All right.
All right, welcome back into the Pickle Palace. We are now joined by the Cedar Rapids Kennedy volleyball team. Let's introduce who's on the mic. You are?
I'm Hayden.
Beautiful. And
I'm
who
Addie.
Say that again.
I'm Addie.
Beautiful. Awesome. And they're just going to be handling the questions. Coach is telling me that you guys always do team dinners on Monday. What did you think about the one here at the Pickle Palace? Was it good?
It was pretty good.
What did you guys have?
I had the wings. Yeah, I had mac and cheese.
Mac and cheese. Good. Getting those carbs in before Thursday, right?
Yeah.
Thursday's the next one. What's been the biggest difference this season last season to this season, and why you guys are at 24 wins?
I think our team chemistry. We all love each other so much. Like, we all hang out outside of volleyball too.
Mm-hmm.
And we have a really, at tournaments, it's so fun. Like, over the summer we stayed in the hotel together. I think that was a really good time for us to come together as a team. And now
Team camp.
Yeah, team camp. And now we just have a blast with each other every day.
You bet. Coach is also mentioning that a highlight this season was that CCA win. What were just kind of your takeaways from it? What did you guys learn about this team?
Well, I think we all did our jobs is what we call it. Like, we all made sure to do the little things that we can do to make the team better, and then just trying really hard and putting all our effort in to know that was an important win for us.
Yeah. What's different now about this time, now that you're prepping for the postseason? Or has anything changed at all?
I think our mentality is better.
Okay.
Because we were so young last year. None of us really got the chance to go to state and watch the teams. And now that we all see that, now that we're all hungry to be the teams that were there last year. So we just really want to go to state, basically. I think that's pushing us.
Absolutely. You mentioned the team chemistry, but how have you kind of seen that translate to on the court? What are some of the strengths of this team on the court?
I think we all get along on the court very well. We're all respecting each other on the court and cheering each other up when we're down. And when we make a mistake, we're not getting mad at each other at all like it has been in the past years. Yeah. And it really just has gotten better with us hanging out outside, like they have said, and then you can tell on the court.
I think that with team chemistry, you also get a lot of trust. So they trust each other out on the court. And I think dysfunctional teams that don't have chemistry are not going to trust each other. They're going to lose more points more often. So when when you have high team chemistry, you're going to take care of the little things because you trust your teammates.
You have Waterloo West this week. You've already beaten them, but we never will overlook, already winning. What are you guys saying amongst each other right now to kind of make sure you're still focusing?
That's actually a big thing we've talked about is we can't think of our opponents any little than they are.
Yeah.
So that's like a big thing for us. We respect them and we know it's going to be a good match. So
yeah,
like it was on Tuesday.
What was the biggest takeaway from that victory?
We know we have to go in stronger than before, and we were like very excited because we knew they were like our regional pairing, so it was a huge game.
Yeah.
And now like at practice, we're working really hard, and we're like extending our times even to like come back and beat them again.
You bet. Well, I have a feeling your season's going to go a little bit longer than Thursday, so best of luck, ladies, all right? We'll make sure to get some pictures before you guys go, but we are going to send things back. We're done here. We'll see you next week.
All right.